While we had so much fun exploring Canada, we're excited to see what Alaska has to offer. We're starting our adventures in Fairbanks, known for its gold production as well as being the main access point for the booming oil industry. Fairbanks is the halfway point between New York City and Tokyo, and we're excited to explore interior Alaska. While we may not be mining gold or pumping oil here in Fairbanks, we were doing the next best thing, which is eating, and after doing a lot of research, this has to be one of the best spots to eat while you're in the area.
We're just walking to the door now, haven't even opened it yet, and you can already just smell the food. It smells so good. I'm so excited. I'm sorry that it's so loud in here. It's very popular, which means we definitely picked the right place. But the cookie jar was established in 1986 and it is family owned and operated. It started off as a micro bakery, which just basically had cookies, cinnamon rolls, muffins, and things like that. But in the last 30 years, it has actually become a full running restaurant with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And breakfast is served all day, which we love.
Again, we apologize for all the noise. This is a very popular place and it just seems to be so packed today. We got two different things off the menu, and the first is off the favorites list. It is the cookie jar cheesesteak, and it's a roast beef sandwich with cheese and onions, and the fries that come with it look perfectly fried. And the second thing we got was recommended by our server, and it is basically a cinnamon roll, French toast, and it has a berry compote on top, and they just both smell and look absolutely amazing. We have salty and sweet, and we're gonna go with salty first. I have a feeling this is gonna be a huge mess. Literally having it cut open for 2 seconds, I'm already getting dirty, but enough of my talking. The second after biting it, the first thing I noticed is everything is cooked so perfectly. It's so soft, so juicy, so cheesy, and super salty, and I love it.
We've had cheesesteaks in Philly, and to be honest, this one topped it. It was so delicious, and the bread was so good. It was almost like Hawaiian and sweet. It was just absolutely delicious, and then the fries that came with it are also really, really good. Now it's time for something sweet, and we're gonna cut it into our cinnamon roll French toast. Cutting into this, you can just smell the sweetness. I just know it's gonna be good. I dipped it in the whipped cream. I have never had a cinnamon roll like this, so it's really good. It kind of just definitely reminds me of French toast, but sweeter, and you taste that cinnamon from the cinnamon roll, and then with the fruit spread on top, it's really, really good.
The portions were very generous, and we were super full. But when we saw the dessert section on the menu and saw this dessert with the word famous next to it, we had to try it. It is a Savannah cream cake, and what that is it's an angel food cake and a brandy pudding that kind of forms the entire cake. And there's whipped cream on top, raspberry puree on the side, and also a scoop of ice cream. You can see the angel food cake inside of the pudding. I'm gonna re-dip it into the raspberry puree, and I'm not sure if you're supposed to eat it with the ice cream or eat it on the side. But that was definitely a good choice.
Oh my goodness, all of our food was so delicious. This place was actually featured on Food Network, and I can see why. It's really, really good. But I do wish we did this in the other direction because we are now headed to a hike and we're super, super full, but just with the locations of where stuff is, it made sense to come here first.
We drove about an hour northeast out of town to the Chena River State Recreation Area to do the Angel Rocks Trail. And on our way out, it started raining, unfortunately, so we're gonna hold that off until tomorrow morning. And we drove another 10 minutes down the road to our next stop that we're gonna go to after our hike. And this is the Chena River Hot Springs, and it's super busy, but we're so excited to soak and then just find a spot for the night, kick it, and then in the morning, we'll go on our hike. Chena Hot Springs was founded by two gold mining brothers in 1905 because in 1904 there was a surveying crew who knew they saw steam coming from the upper Chena, thought it was a hot spring, didn't survey any further, but in the summer of 1905 one of the two gold mining brothers was having some pain and knew that if he were to come find the springs and soak in it, that it would ease a lot of that pain. So they hopped in a boat, took about a month to get up here, they found the springs, and then in 1911 they started setting up what was to become this current place. They had a stable and some cabins for guests to stay in, and now, years later, this is what it's become.
We just paid for the day passes, which are $20 each, and there is no tax, so that's super nice. And as crazy as it sounds, we've actually never paid for a commercialized hot spring before. We've only done natural ones that you usually have to hike into, which I think we're gonna prefer a lot better, but we did like the history, and when in Fairbanks, you might as well. We're all dressed and we're getting ready to walk over to the hot springs, but one thing I always remember now, because I made the mistake before, is to take off all my jewelry before getting into the hot spring, because one time I did not, and my wedding ring actually turned like gold, and it's a white gold, so definitely not a great experience. So definitely take off all your jewelry before you go into the hot spring. As you're going through the hot spring, there are some spots that are really, really hot, and then the rest is like not too bad. I think I read it was like 104 degrees in most places, but you'll just go through a certain spot and you're like, holy crap, that's really hot, and that's kind of where I am right now. There's also this little indoor pool that you can come in, and it's much colder than the hot spring for sure. Honestly, I think it could be a little bit colder. I like being able to go from hot to cold because then I want to go back into the hot, but this is kind of more just like a comfortable temperature. We ended up staying at the hot springs a lot longer than expected. We were soaking, relaxing, and then we ended up having some friends come and join us. So we were just chatting away, and the next thing you know, it's 10:30, so it's getting pretty late. I think they stay open a little bit after 11, so we could have stayed a little longer if we wanted to, but we were definitely all ready to get out of there. So now we're leaving, and we're finding a spot for the night. It never feels as late as it is because it is currently 11:06, and it is this bright outside. Just a couple minutes away from the hot springs, we found this beautiful spot right on the water, but there are a ton of mosquitoes and they are ferocious. They literally just keep biting me and flying around. So we're gonna head inside and we'll see you in the morning for another day of adventures.
It has been raining all morning and the sun has finally came out. Every single time we were like, we're gonna leave now, it's not raining, it would start raining again. And it seems like the sun's been out for over an hour now, and we checked the forecasts and there's no more rain for the rest of the day. So we're hoping it stays that way, and we're gonna rush over to the trailhead. We're only 4 minutes away. We're hoping to get there and have no rain the rest of the time. Parking at the trailhead is $5 for the day, and there's no overnight parking. That's why we stayed right down the street. And there were 3 trails in the area that we decided, okay, we might do all 3, but the main one that drew our attention was Angel Rocks, and it's a 3.6 mile hard. So it's not too long, but it does have that elevation gain. So it is a challenge and it should be fun. When reading all of the All Trails reviews, we thought it was a little bit exaggerated when everyone was talking about how many mosquitoes there were, but they are pretty bad at this beginning part of the trail. Supposedly once you start gaining elevation, they all go away. So we're rushing through this part to get to the part where there's no mosquitoes.
Starts off very flat and then you start inclining, and I don't think you stop till you get to the top. We made it up to the Angel Rocks. I believe there's 3 of them, the one we're standing on and then the 2 behind us. It was definitely a little bit of a climb, but it was a really beautiful trail, and there was a lot of overviews, so you could get a view of this background from many different angles, and we loved it. The scenery really reminds us of our time in the Northeast last fall. It's comparable to Shenandoah, the Adirondacks, and that whole entire area. I'm standing on the highest rock, and now that I'm up here I realize that there are the 2 rocks behind me as well as a bunch of rocks over there, so I guess Angel Rocks is, I don't know how many, but it's really cool.
The second you come down from the rocks up top and you're walking down the side of the hill, you pass your last rock and then you get next to the river again, the bugs are vicious. They don't care if you're a dog, they don't care if you're a human, and I bet they don't care if you're a bear or a deer or anything else. These mosquitoes are just latching on, and they kind of like get on you and prick at you like a wasp, and then they stick on you and they don't let go, and then their whole family joins once they get on you, and it's kind of miserable. So we're trying not to talk too much, but we're also trying to talk enough to where bears know we're here, because I'm really not trying to see one while I'm fighting mosquitoes.
I have so many bites. Face, ears, neck, arms, hands.
I don't know if you guys can see this. Holy smokes. I've never seen Ashley have more mosquitoes on her. She's actually the type of person that doesn't really get bit by mosquitoes, and we're getting wrecked.
Besides all the mosquitoes, that hike was really awesome. We really enjoyed it. It was also super busy. It's definitely a popular trail, but we also don't typically hike midday, so I'm sure if we went earlier in the morning there wouldn't be as many people, but it didn't really bother us. It was a super great trail, and we definitely recommend it if you're in the area.
Our last stop in the Fairbanks area is the pipeline Viewpoint. This 4-foot silver pipeline travels 800 miles through the Alaskan wilderness, through permafrost, earthquake zones, mountains, and even rivers. It took over 70,000 construction workers to build, and $8 billion, which is just crazy. And every single hour, over $1 million worth of black gold flows through this pipeline.
We found this great spot not too far from Denali that we're going to stay at, and we're going to be exploring Denali National Park the next couple days. And unfortunately, we cannot bring you with us because it is now illegal to film in national parks. So if you do want to see any of that, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Our Full Time Adventure, because we're going to be posting short little videos and photos there. But also check out this sunlight. It is almost 11 o'clock and it is still this sunny. They call it the midnight sun because at midnight the sun literally still looks like this. I think the sun doesn't go down till like 12:15 or something crazy. But anyways, we're gonna head inside. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.